Hello, I am Kayla Eldridge, back to talk about our Module 12 case study, Teacher Reacts Negatively to Personnel Evaluation. First, I'm going to be reviewing a case summary, so let's start with the what. What has happened or is happening? As the principal, I am finishing my evaluations to turn into my supervisor, the superintendent of schools. I am feeling really good as the teachers I've hired have been good this year, with the exception of one teacher, Mrs. Stevens, whose classroom I have visited several times this year. She seems to have difficulty getting students involved in the curriculum, though she does have the intellect and background in her subject. Not only does she struggle with student motivation, but she has trouble with pupil control, and during my last visit, as I approached the room, was really noisy and I could hear students talking and moving around, but once I entered the room, they settled. They did continue to show little respect for the teacher. I did have a post-visit conference with her, and she was irritable and hostile to suggestions. She was difficult to communicate with. I ended the meeting without having very much progress. As I sat and reflected upon the year, I decided I would do one more visit prior to submitting my evaluation and next year's recommendation to the superintendent. So during that visit on Monday, there was no student involvement other than rote recitation while the teacher was doing lecturing. So I left without comment, having decided that I'm not going to rehire her for the following year. I did not want her to obtain tenure. So I completed the evaluation form and left a notice of the meeting in her mailbox. And we met on Tuesday. Again, she really wasn't wanting to talk. I handed her the evaluation with the low ratings in personality, professional interest, and attitudes, as well as teaching ability. It also showed her that the contract was not going to be renewed. She looked at it, said that she did not deserve those low ratings, and that that myself nor her supervisor had given her any supervision to be responsive to. And she stated that the kids had been responsive just before I walked in the room, and it wasn't really her fault that they stopped responding after I came in. She threw the evaluation paper on my desk and walked out of my office while stating that I could do what I wanted, but she was not taking this laying down, and she would take the issue to court if needed. So what didn't happen, there wasn't good, honest feedback throughout the year for this teacher. So if we move on to the when and the where, the case did take place during second semester of the school year, and it happened at a school. There's no details about the school or the community that were given. Let's look at the who. Who is involved is mostly myself as principal and Mrs. Stevens as an early educator. As principal, I'm responsible for supervising and evaluating the staff of our school, and I want to avoid making Mrs. Stevens a tenured teacher, as she doesn't seem to have what it takes. Mrs. Stevens thinks that she does have what it takes, but that she needs more guidance to make that happen. Students are also involved as it is their education that is at stake. And who could become involved would be the other educators as well as the superintendent. Parents could also become involved, as they tend to speak up when they support a teacher. What do the parties involved have to say about it? I think she should be non-renewed for next year, and she feels that supervision has been lacking, so the lower performance is not her fault. We do not know the feelings of the superintendent or the parents or the students in the classroom. So next, how did they incorporate the following into the plan? The principal is trying to protect the success of the students by dismissing a teacher who was not doing her job effectively. The teacher is wanting to protect her students by wanting to do a good job. So both of them really are wanting to do that, promoting the future success and well-being of students. The principal really hasn't developed the teacher capacity or her own capacity. I did recruit the teacher and I hired her, but I didn't do anything to help retain her. There's no mention of professional culture in the school. Most of the newly hired teachers are being retained, and the student well-being is not a concern. Professional learning is not mentioned in the case, though the principal does use reflection. There is a system in place for evaluating, but it seems to be lacking in feedback options. So let's look at the legal and ethical issues of the problem. There really weren't any, there was no harm that was done. There was no physical harm that was done. The teacher could be harmed if she's not renewed. The students could be harmed if the best teacher is not giving them the information for their education. There could also be harm to the school culture or to the principal and his reputation, her reputation, if others see the non-renewal as a bad decision. There were no laws broken. There was not a breach of contract, as non-tenured teachers can be non-renewed without cause. And there wasn't anything to meet discrimination or harassment in this case. The synthesis of the problem at hand. I, as principal, have evaluated a new teacher using the method given to me by the district and decided not to renew her contract, though Mrs. Stevens, the new teacher, does not agree with her evaluation and feels that supervision was lacking. So there was quite a bit of information that was missing from this. We don't know what the relationship is between the administration, the educators, the students, the families. We don't know if Mrs. Stevens shared her frustration with other educators or even a lawyer. We don't know that there's any data in order to back up what the principal's evaluation said of the teacher. The place, we don't know the demographics of the district or the school, so we don't really know what any of the makeup is. If they're a rural school, if they're a city school, we don't know any of that information. The program, like what exactly does professional learning look like at the school? Is there a mentoring program in effect? If she's a new teacher, did she have a mentor? Mrs. Stevens references a supervisor, but we don't know exactly who that is. What does the process look like typically? The evaluation seems to be very subjective, and we don't know if there's any objective performance data or how each piece is weighted in the decision to hire or continue renewing the contract. We also don't know if the students in her classroom have achieved at a level that we want them to be achieving at. So she could be correct that her students are performing where they need to be performing. We don't have that information based on what we've got for the case. It's really important to have this information that hasn't been identified because we need more details in order to make a really good, valid decision for this case. The missing information, that the value of that is that we have those relationships and processes that are in place typically in a district, and that gives us guidance on how to move forward. So not knowing the precedent or the prior practice of the district makes it a difficult decision to make. Next, I will review and prioritize the information. So Mrs. Stevens' career could be survived by moving to another district, though we don't know if moving to another district is a feasible option for her. It could be that she's in a rural town and that this is the only district for miles and miles. We don't know what the saturation rate of teachers in her area would be. The reputation of the school as well as the principal could be on the line with that possible lawsuit if she does follow through with that. The culture of the school could also change with the non-renewal of an educator. We don't know how common it is to have non-renewal of an educator. If it's something that doesn't happen very often, that could make a big change in culture where the teachers may not see the principal in the same light if they're used to teachers being renewed. Also, we don't know if there's a replacement that's able to be found in order to teach the students for next year. So we talked about always wanting to have highly qualified teachers in the classroom. If we can't find a classroom to replace the teacher, then we may end up with a substitute in that role, and then we don't have a highly qualified teacher in that role. So as I see it, the principal really has three options moving forward. She can take no action and continue with that plan for non-renewal. She could take comprehensive action, which would be to renew the contract and deal with those deficits that were seen in the evaluation, and also replace that current evaluation protocol. Then there could be an intermediate action where we just renew her contract and don't really recognize those deficits. So let's evaluate those three plans. For plan one, the pros are it gets rid of the catastrophe of tenuring Mrs. Stevens. The cons would be Mrs. Stevens loses her job. The school would have a culture change. She could sue the district and put the district and the principal at risk. The replacement options may be weaker than she was, and it also takes time and money to rehire and train a teacher. Some pros on the second scenario would be to maintain the status quo of the teacher with some experience. There would be an opportunity for both myself and Mrs. Stevens to build capacity. There would also be a chance to change the evaluation tool in order to allow for objective measures to be used. The cons, there could still be some damage to school culture if she has already shared her experience with others. Option number 3, the pros would be to maintain the status quo of a teacher with some experience. This would forego the opportunity to develop an action plan in order to improve the teacher's capacity. And the principal could lose status if other teachers see he doesn't follow his own recommendations with the threat of a lawsuit. So I've gone through this whole problem-solving loop and made sure that I have identified the problem, I've explored the information and created ideas, and now it's time for me to select the best idea, which I believe would be option 2, the comprehension plan. So the details of my plan moving forward, I would like to meet with the superintendent to fill her in on what's been happening in the situation and ensure that she is on board with what I'm going to do, as it will affect the entire district if we do change the evaluation process going forward. I would also like to look at data to see how Mrs. Stevens and her students are performing. There wasn't really any information in there that was objective. It was all kind of subjective information, so I'd like to have some objective data that I could actually look at to see how she's doing. I would then plan a meeting with Mrs. Stevens and possibly with the superintendent in attendance to talk through what the plan would be moving forward. At that meeting, I would give Mrs. Stevens my action plan to move forward with her working for the school district, including what professional learning she might need to move forward. I would let her know that after some reflection, I feel as though she needs to be given a second chance to do better. And I need to admit that I didn't do great at providing that feedback this year. I need to find out kind of what her perspective is and find out if she has any areas of support that she needs that she feels like she did not get this year. Also, I would meet with other district leaders in order to find a better evaluation system for the district, what they have seen work well, what they would like to change, possibly continue some professional learning with Mrs. Stevens to get her on course using a flipped classroom or a mentor system. The training would be supportive of Mrs. Stevens, but it should be building wide if professional learning is not already in place. I would continue to increase my capacity for supervising through this entire process. And I would want to make sure to follow up next year with a pre-observation conference to let her know exactly what I'm looking for in the classroom. Utilize those objective measures as well as observation during that process, and give that immediate actionable feedback to Mrs. Stevens during the process so that she knows what she can do to improve her process. I would also hold a post-observation meeting to detail what I saw, what went well, and what could be improved. And if my plan doesn't go well, I would have the data to non-renew the following year and would be able to do so with supportive data. So this is my reflection. Completing this case study, I was able to demonstrate my capacity as a leader by promoting the success of educators, engaging them in professional learning, while keeping in mind the building culture and improving systems of evaluations. The assignment was relevant to my current learning about supervision of personnel because it was about a poor evaluation and building the educator's capacity rather than non-renewing the contract. In my current position, I coach staff, and I have learned how to provide actionable feedback that will help build the educator's capacity while I am working with them during a coaching cycle. The assignment will impact my future as a building principal in that I have thought through the entire process of renewing or non-renewing a staff member so that I am better prepared for it in the future. It will also allow me to remember that building capacity is important not only for myself, but for my entire staff as well. Each staff member contributes to the better of the school as a whole, and they need to be treated with respect and with honesty. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.